while the Vampire Diaries continues to impress as one of its most unexpected and best returns yet. Hey guys, I'm over the Vampire Diaries, Season 8, Episode 12, What Are You? And I was definitely really looking forward to this episode, especially because this particular half of the season, now that we're done with the whole Sybil Celine story and we moved on to Cade and Stefan and Damon are finally back to their normal selves, I was really looking forward to seeing an episode where everyone's supposed to be how they are. Because honestly, guys, as much as I think Paul Wesley and Ian Somerhalder do a great job channeling both the good and bad sides of them, I much rather would like to see them with humanity than without. I just feel that without humanity, we've seen it so many times, and it's just not shocking anymore. And the show was acting like, oh, it's shocking that Stefan's a Ripper. No, it's not. We know when he doesn't have his humanity, he becomes a Ripper. We know Damon, he just kills people. That's just how it's always been for these characters. So I'm not at all surprised that they went in that direction with them. But I was very happy to see this episode. And this episode was very similar to that of Damon, his regrets, because Stefan has a lot of regrets as well. But I really enjoyed this episode overall. There was a lot of great stuff going on here, a lot of grief and sorrow and things like that, and I definitely really did enjoy this one. But let's just get into this episode because I definitely do want to get into it. So we begin tonight with Bonnie. So we start off the episode and we see Matt. He wakes up from a nightmare of the Maxwell bell ringing and people burning. He wakes up, he grabs the medallion that Dorian gave him from the chest of the Historical Society found, and I gotta say, I've really been loving the way they've been going with Matt this season. Like I've said the entire show pretty much, is that Matt has been the most irrelevant character for a very long time. He's never really been a character that really he's always been the one that's just been there. Like him and Enzo have been the ones that are just there, and I'm happy to see they're actually giving Matt some stuff to do, because he stumbles with bloody feet, setting off the alarm in the infirmary, and Alaric finally comes back in this episode. It feels like it's been such a long time since we've seen him, because it has. It's been episodes and episodes, and they don't really give a reason why he's been gone, but he pulls a gun on him, asking how he got in there and if he's okay, and Bonnie then answers her phone crying, and this is by far one of Kat Graham's best episodes. She really did show how great she is channeling emotion, and again, all the horrible stuff happens to Bonnie. I don't know why. That's always been a recurring theme on the show. But she tells Damon that Elena's okay, but Enzo's gone, and his brother Stefan killed him. And I love seeing their friendship back. That's something that we really haven't gotten to see a lot of this season, because Damon's been so against everyone. And now that Damon's back to normal, we can have this friendship between Damon and Bonnie. And she orders Damon to stay this way, but he says not until he knows she's okay. And he will deal with Stefan. And she confesses that she gave him the cure, and he's human now. So obviously, now he has the cure, he's human, and the look on Damon's face when he's realizing that Stefan's human, that now he can't just, now he can't take down Stefan, now he has to deal with all the things that Damon did. It's really this look of despair, and I really did love that, again, they are back to normal, but Stefan's driving, he's having flashbacks of all the people he's killed, and this is a very similar episode to that of when Damon, was having regrets, a couple episodes ago. This is very similar to that. The difference is that this is going to last a lot more than one episode, because Caroline calls him, she begs him to come home, and things are very understandably awkward between these two. Not really with Caroline, but Stefan, he does not want to talk to her because he remembers what he did to her and what she said to him, and he really feels like things are not great there. So she begs him to come home. He says he can't because he can't face her nor Bonnie right now. Those are the two people he just can't face, and police, all he sees is visions of him killing Enzo and things like that, and police then pull him over, they take him away, they see blood all over his hands and shirts, and there's just something so much more saddening about Stefan being human. He's not able to compel these police officers, he's not able to break away from them. He actually has to put up with his arrest, he actually has to just face the consequences. That's something that Stefan hasn't been able to, hasn't had to do before, but now he has to do that, and it's very sad to see. I really did feel bad for Stefan in this episode, because we've never really seen him human, and it was very weird to see him as a human, but they did a very good job with that throughout this episode, because he leaves Caroline calling out his name, she doesn't know where he went, and it's just a very somber start to what is a very somber episode. So Matt then shares with Alaric that he can feel the heat from the flames as if he were actually there, which is very interesting, but Dorian tells him that it might be true because the medallion he handed him is a colonial witch's talisman tied to the Maxwell bloodline, and as we know, Matt, we find out, does in fact have a doppelganger from that time. We find out more about him in this episode, but Matt questions how they could be memories since he didn't actually live them, and Alaric says that he could be linked to someone from then, and that is how he walked through the stones under the infirmary. And I really do like the storyline, because up till now, Matt's always been the human in the show, but it seems that that's not actually true. He actually does have connections, to someone, back then. And I don't know why the show's choosing to reveal this now. It's kind of weird that now in the final season they're doing this. It feels like something they should have done seasons ago, but nevertheless, it still was cool. And Dorian reveals the skeleton they found had written those in the same memories in his journal, where he was working with a coven of Bennett witches, and Matt thinks that Bonnie may know something about it, so he gets a call, shares that things are bad, and Damon then shares his drink at the Salvatore mansion when Caroline informs that Stefan is at the police department, and Damon agrees to meet her there so Stefan isn't alone as he processes all the evil memories, because Damon knows exactly what he's gone through. From that episode we saw, back 2-3 weeks ago, where Damon was having all those horrible, visions of all the terrible things that he'd done, since his humanity was off, and Bonnie isn't answering the phone, and Damon says who could blame her. So as he's about to leave, Cade offers his condolences, telling Damon that they are both free, and he's not giving his condolences to Stefan, but to Enzo, but to Stefan, because since Stefan's human, he can recall his soul and return him to the fiery pits of hell at midnight, because as we know, he has to kill one human, and he thinks that Stefan is that sacrifice that he should make, and he's interested in the journal written by Ethan Maxwell in exchange for Stefan to live his natural life. And at the police station, Stefan is then confronted with 32 murders where his fingerprints were left in the past 2 months, which is, again, really sad to think about, and it's just a really somber time for Stefan having to deal with this, and as Bonnie struggles believing she sees Enzo in the house, and that's something that Bonnie has constantly throughout this episode. Constantly she thinks that Enzo's calling out to her, and it's understandable. I mean, Bonnie now has her powers back, so it makes sense why she feels this way, and her mother, Abby, arrives to see her after Caroline called her, and Caroline compels the police officers to let Stefan go, but before they leave, she sees all the people he has killed, and Stefan worries about his deal with Cade, and Caroline informs that it is off since he's human, but he only gets to live until midnight unless Damon does come through for them, which she's not entirely sure if Damon's going to. Damon's saying he is, but she doesn't know if that's actually going to happen, if he's actually going to get to live, and that threat of Stefan is there because this is the final season. So that whole worry about Stefan possibly being killed, you don't know if he actually is going to. They actually did a good job with saying that throughout this episode. I genuinely did have this worry that something bad could happen to Stefan, because again, 1, he's human, 2, this is the last season, and we've already killed Enzo, so why not kill Stefan? Sure, he's the main character, but who's to say he's not going to get killed by the end of the show, which I definitely think is inevitable. Stefan will definitely be killed before the show is over. So Damon arrives at the infirmary, telling Alaric, Dorian, and Matt that he only has 6 hours to give Cade the book or Stefan dies, which is not really an easy thing to do. We know how hard it is to get the book, and Matt stands in his way, saying he has to kill him if he wants to stop him, because Matt has his own reason for getting it, and Matt then stabs him in the neck without a second thought, and even though he knows that Damon is back to the way he is, he knows that Damon wants the book for himself, and Matt has other reasons why he needs that book. So Bonnie watches as Abby covers Enzo with petals, and she tells Bonnie it's time to say goodbye and it's time to return him to the earth, and she says he doesn't want her to because he's still calling out to her, and she believes if Enzo's trying to reach out to her, there must be a way to reach him, and Abby says that she shouldn't mess with such things, but Bonnie insists her mother returned for a reason, and to let this be the reason. And I like that the show remembered that Bonnie does have a mother. It's been so long since we've seen anything tied to Bonnie's lineage. I mean, Bonnie's always just been on this show. She's had either a bond with Damon or a bond with Enzo. Other than that, she really hasn't had anything that substantial to do, and I like that now that she finally doesn't have a love interest because he's killed, Damon's off doing his own thing, Bonnie now finally gets to have what I think is one of her best storylines in years. I mean, I really love where they went with Bonnie in this episode. Sure, she was, possessed last year, but again, that really wasn't much of anything. That was still just a brief thing that happened. This is definitely a lot more substantial, and I really like seeing that. So, Stefan's gathering his belongings when he hears the young daughter of the real estate agent he killed asking them to find her, and Caroline learns Stefan killed the woman and left her in the trunk of the car, and they're both upset when they hear this little girl has no one, and I really did feel bad for the little girl. Even though we've never seen this little girl before, you can imagine what she's gone through, and so can Stefan, so can Caroline. They know exactly the kind kind of stuff that she's gone through. You know, Stefan, you can translate this to Enzo. Caroline can translate this to her mother. I mean, this is just really sad stuff. And Caroline and Stefan go to find the woman's body, and obviously they know that the woman's body's out there, so they can do what they can to try to clear Stefan's name, obviously, because yes, he does have all these murders on him, but they have to do what they can to get him out of there. So Damon worries about Stefan's life, while Alaric says once they know why the journal is so important to Cade, they will know how to stop him. And I loved seeing Damon and Alaric back as friends, because it's been so long since we've seen these two actually have a genuine interaction, and not just Damon compelled by Sybil and, doing what Sybil tells him to do. Finally, Damon's acting on his own, and I love seeing that, and she says that Damon can have the journal, so Matt and Damon sedate Matt so they can find out what they need from his memories, and Matt then has memories of the colonial times as Ethan Maxwell, and it was cool to see Zach Rohrig play a different character. I definitely did like seeing that, and he's talking to Bennett Witch about ridding their village of the savage beast, killing people, and Sybil arrives, and Sybil actually sounded good in this episode. Like, her accent was not in and out, thank God, but Ethan is unable to resist her. So we can see that Sybil's had this effect on people for many years. It hasn't just been Damon. It's been for almost thousands of years. She's always had this effect on them, and I like seeing that in this episode. It shows that it makes sense why Matt was so easily, it really doesn't make sense with Matt, because he wasn't really the one that was, manipulated by Sybil, but it does show why everyone is so gullible when it comes to Sybil's ways. So Caroline and Stefan then search for the woman, and Karen with Stefan admitting he doesn't know what he thinks of how to deal with what he wants or what he thought he was going to have, and he doesn't know what to do, and he, because again, he doesn't know how to move on from this, and he rushes to the car where the woman was with the trunk of blood as she's gone, and Caroline feels that there's still a chance that she's alive. He might not have necessarily killed her. There is definitely that chance, and I like that Caroline is giving him this hope. She wants to believe that Stefan didn't do such a thing, but I think she knows deep down he did. She's just trying to calm him down so he doesn't end up, doing something he really regrets. So Matt's memories bring him to the cave where they found the journal, and it's filled with the Siren's treasure, tools, and weapons, and Celine in the cave. They both force Ethan to add the tuning fork to the bell, and Sybil reveals that 12 strikes from the tuning fork will unleash hellfire on the entire village, which is crazy to think about, but that's exactly what is going to happen. So Damon's frustrated, telling them to cut to the chase and find out why the journal is so important, because obviously Cade needs this book. They need to know why he needs it so badly. So Abby and Bonnie then join hands. They call on Enzo, asking him to give them a sign if he's there. The wind blows, and Abby sees the ripples that explode when Bonnie cradled Enzo. She blows to the candle, saying that it isn't grief, it is something different, and she says that Bonnie has opened her door to wherever Enzo is. She demands that Bonnie close the door, but she refused to leave Enzo in there, and she hears Enzo call to her and faints. And it's a very sad scene. Of course, we know that Enzo's not really there, but again, Bonnie is just kind of grief-struck, but she says it's not grief. Like, she says this is more than grief, and yeah, I would agree with Bonnie. It is more than grief. We know that Bonnie has that power where she's able to bring people back from the dead, and this is a very good example of that. So Stefan then finds Karen, who stabs him. He begs Caroline to save Karen. She gives Karen her blood, and when she gives Stefan her blood, she remembers it won't work because the cure is in him. There's no way that she can turn Stefan into a vampire, which that, in general, is completely different. And that's something I love, is that everyone says, oh, there is, vampires is always the same. This is extremely different. Stefan has always been able to re-emerge as a vampire. This is the first time where Caroline can't do that. She can't reincarnate him. If Stefan dies, that's it. He's dead. There is no bringing him back. He dies, and that really is how it works, and it's crazy to think about, but I love that they're going this direction where Stefan is vulnerable in this way, where he can't be turned to a vampire. He has to live life as a human. It may seem like a good thing, but really it is a curse that he has, where now he has to be human the rest of his life. So Ethan writes in his journal, and when the Bennett witch is asked what Sybil wanted, he repeatedly tells her he cannot say, but hands her this coded message, and he begins to ring the bell. She orders the witches in the villages to stand as one and chant so he cannot destroy them, and Matt's dying, so Damien gives him his blood to save him. He continues to see the witches save the village, but they all died in the fire, minus Ethan and Beatrice Bennett, the witch. So now it makes sense why they need this, and Beatrice goes in the cave, seals Sybil and Celine inside. Sybil says the 100 souls are on Beatrice and Ethan's souls, but there's one way to escape hell, by releasing Cade from hell and allow him to walk the earth and then kill him. So Ethan's told that Beatrice will not free them if he must kill her. They both begin to sing, but Beatrice then locks Ethan away. So now we're kind of seeing why Cade needs to be here, why they need to kill him, and ultimately how this is going to free a lot of the deaths that, Beatrice and Ethan have committed. So Ethan says the secrets are locked in the room with him. He knows how to kill the devil, but he cannot say the words. And Matt then awakens saying the answer's in the journal. But both Damon and the journal are gone. So they're nowhere to be found. Again, because Damon's main priority is to get to Stefan. That's the main thing that Damon wants to do here. So Abby holds Bonnie as she seizes. She pours fuel on Enzo, lights him on fire. Bonnie struggles while her mother says she had to do it to break all the connections with him. And she tells Bonnie that Enzo didn't open the door. She didn't. She reminds Bonnie that Enzo loved her and wouldn't want her to suffer, and tells her that she has to say goodbye. And again, it's a really sad moment because Bonnie doesn't want to say goodbye. One of the hardest things that anyone ever has to do is to say goodbye. Now, we've seen so many deaths on this show that it shouldn't feel unique, and we shouldn't even care, really. Like, it shouldn't be this emotional, but because of how good Kat Graham is as an actress, you really do feel for Bonnie in this time. You can tell this is really the last person that truly cared about Bonnie, that Bonnie genuinely felt she had a future with, and now with him gone, she really feels like she doesn't really know what to do with herself anymore, and it's very sad to see. She really does not want to say goodbye. But Stefan then wakes up to learn that Karen's gone. He says whatever it is, today or tomorrow, what is coming for him is what he deserves. He knows all the terrible stuff he's committed, and he feels that he deserves all this terrible stuff. And they can hear sirens in the distance, and Damon arrives home, hands Cade the journal, unsure if he will keep his end of the bargain, and Damon wants to know if anyone has earned their way out of hell, and Cade says he wouldn't want to give him false hope, and he burns the journal. So again, Cade clearly does not care, about the journal whatsoever, but Stefan's able to watch as Karen is reunited with her daughter. So Caroline returns to the car with meds for Stefan. He admits that he can't just see them being together, that they are leading totally different lives now. So it is a bit more complicated now. Caroline's a vampire. She has that gift of immortality, but right now it's also kind of a weakness for her. She's immortal, he is immortal, and he doesn't know how to make things right, and neither does she. He wants things to go back to how they were, for them to get re-engaged, and for them to have that June wedding, but he doesn't know if that's really going to work now, because again, he's human, she's not. That is a weakness that he will always have over her, and obviously they're very worried about how that's going to go. So Bonnie waits for Abby, offering his condolences for Enzo. She doesn't think she can do it, but he says that she's the strongest person he knows, promising to tell about their history and how badass the Bennett witches really are. She feels if she was such a strong witch, she could have saved Enzo, and he tells her to find comfort in the fact that Enzo loved her and will always be there for her. It was a very nice scene. I really did like the way that was done. I like that Matt was there for Bonnie in this situation. The issue of characters that don't really have a ton of interaction before, and that's something I'm looking forward to, is that Bonnie's been very, she's been very much in the C-plot this season, where she's been very much with Enzo all season. She's been very closely with him. She hasn't really had a ton of interaction with the other characters, and now that Enzo's gone, she can have interaction with them, and I really did like seeing that here. I like seeing that Matt really did care for her. It shows the bond these two have. It shows the rare friendship we get to see between these two, and I really did like seeing Matt actually there for Bonnie, another character that we just don't really get to see together, but actually have gone through very similar circumstances, and I really did like seeing that. So Stefan returns home to Damon, admitting that it hurts to be a human. He says he's going to change and go see Bonnie, but he can't forgive himself, so he doesn't know how Bonnie could. How could Bonnie forgive him for such a thing? So Damon reminds him that Bonnie is a better person than either one of them. He thanks Damon for saving him and asks if there's a chance for redemption with them. Damon says absolutely, and I love the way that Damon is trying to tell Stefan that you can be good again. I can forgive you. He knows that stuff wasn't because Stefan wanted to do them, but because he was simply forced to because of Cade. And Alaric apologized to Dorian for how crazy he got when Damon arrives. He won't apologize for saving his brother, admitting he is selfish, but tells Alaric to grab his blindfold and his headphones because he knows how it ends. And Stefan then arrives at Bonnie's house, but is taken by some before he can get to the door. Who knows what's going to happen there, so he's taken away. And then we get to the ending, which I love this ending. Damon picks up the relic that Cade created. He believes it is what can kill him, but Kai enters the cave. He's saying that he's sorry to interrupt, but what if he has a better idea? And Kai is back in the show. That is the way the episode ends. Really great stuff overall. Let's just get into this episode and where we're going to go for the last 4 episodes of the entire show. So overall, guys, I really did enjoy this episode overall. I thought there was a lot of really great stuff going on here. But let's address the elephant in the room. Kai is back, and I could not be happier. Kai is one of the best villains the show has ever had by far. He always had that evil agenda. He had a very interesting backstory, and I really do love Chris Wood as an actor. Between Supergirl and this, he's really shown how great of an actor he really is. You can tell he's having so much fun in the role, and I can't wait to see where he's going to go. I'm kind of looking forward to being an ally to them. I'm just hoping they don't try to redeem him, because the thing that works so well about Kai is how devious and evil he really is, and I'm hoping he's doing this for his own benefit and not trying to help Damon and Lark. I hope this is just, he happens to be helping them and he doesn't actually want to. I don't want to see them redeem Kai, just because I like seeing him as an evil badass, honestly. Is it too much to ask? I know I always say, yes, it's cool when a villain's redeemed, but I don't want to see that with Kai, I want to see Kai be like a Catherine, who is there for them, I don't want him to be redeemed like Catherine, but I do want him to be someone who's like, trying to help them, but because he has a bone to pick with Cade. That's what I really want to see. I want to see, where Kai's gonna go, and I'm really looking forward to seeing him on the last 4 episodes. It makes sense why they bring him back. Why? Because as we know, Elena is going to be in the final episode, and the only way to do that is to bring Kai back, because Kai is the one who put the spell on Elena in the first place. He's the one who's made Elena sleep for so many years, and that's why Bonnie has stayed alive. It's because of Kai. That was Kai's, loophole for Bonnie. So I was very happy to see Kai back. I'm looking forward to seeing really where that goes. Aside from that, though, there was a lot of really interesting stuff going on here. First of all, I like where we're going with Stefan. I like that Stefan is in fact human, and that there's a lot of regrets looming over him because of that. But I also love that he really can't forgive himself. Like, even though he knows that Bonnie probably would forgive him, he just can't forgive himself. He can't believe he'd do such a thing to Bonnie. How could he ever betray someone like Bonnie? Someone who's so, nice and kind-hearted and just so wholesome like Bonnie. How could he ever do that to her? And I really did feel bad for Stefan in this situation. And Paul Wesley did a very good job, like I said, finally getting to play himself again. Like, he didn't have to be this, evil badass. He could finally be himself, and I definitely did like seeing that. Paul Wesley's great when he's evil, but I just like seeing Stefan more like this, where he's more upset about the regrets he has, and you really can feel for him. I know a lot of people say that Stefan is very overdramatic, which I will definitely agree that Stefan has not been an interesting character for quite a few seasons, but this is definitely one of the more compelling arcs he's had in a while, where now you really do feel for him. You can tell why he is feeling this way. You can understand why he really doesn't want to forgive himself, because after all he's done, yeah, there's quite a lot that he's done. He's caused a lot of people harm. He's killed a lot of people. And there's a lot of people who do have, he has an unfinished business with, including Dorian, who I'm looking forward to seeing where that's going to go. I did hear that Dorian definitely does have definitely a bone to pick with him, so I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen with that. I think that's going to be interesting. And as far as Bonnie is, she really wants to believe that Enzo's still out there, but she can't bring Enzo back. She knows she needs to move on. She knows that Enzo will always love her, but she just needs to move on from that. And I don't really know what's going to happen with Bonnie, but I'm intrigued, definitely. I like that they're giving Bonnie her own plot. It's always seemed like Bonnie is either with Damon or she's with Enzo. In these past 2 seasons, it's been very Damon-Enzo-centric, and I'm happy to see that Bonnie is now on her own. They're finally giving her something great to do, and I love that. Cat Graham has always been really the dark horse of the show. I mean, she's always been, like, the real star, and I think she's always kind of been, one of the best parts of the show. She really hasn't gotten to shine as much lately, and this is definitely giving her that chance, and I really do like seeing that. What is Cade's real agenda? We don't really know at this point. I mean, we know the prophecy, obviously, that Cade is going to be the one to save them all, but we don't really know what's going to happen there. How Kai's going to get into it, I don't really know what's going to happen. I think that whole thing's going to be very interesting. And then finally, Stefan and Caroline, things are very awkward between Stefan and Caroline right now. I think they definitely do want to, be back together and have that June wedding and everything, but now that Stefan is human and Caroline is vampire, they really have to think about what they want to do now, because she's human, he's vampire, and this is definitely a big problem, really. I mean, this isn't something they've ever had to face before. They never really thought of something like this happening, and now it's going to be very tough to see really where this is going to go. So I'm interested in seeing where they're going to go with that, if Stefan and Caroline are going to have that June wedding. I think they definitely want to have it, but I don't know what's going to happen there. I think that definitely is going to be very interesting. My only real complaint with this episode, I have to say, is what was going on with Matt. Because while I was happy to see Matt did have something going on, he's never really had a real connection to Sybil and Celine. He wasn't the one to get easily manipulated by them. So seeing that happen, it didn't really do much. It just kind of showed this flashback, and it was cool to see Zach Rohrig play a different character, and I like seeing Sybil and Celine one last time, but it really didn't do much. It felt like this is something we should have got in seasons ago, not this season. I get that obviously Sybil and Celine were there, and that was the reason why they had this back, but it just felt like something we should have gotten a long time ago. It seems like it's really a no-brainer that now they should be giving stuff to Matt, and that was really the only thing that disappointed me. I'm happy to see he's getting good stuff, don't get me wrong. I like they're actually acknowledging him as a character on the show. But in terms of storylines, it definitely is not the strongest, but definitely is more or less of what I want to see Matt have throughout the rest of the show. Overall, guys, I really did enjoy this episode. The show continues to really find ways to make the show interesting. And again, I think Julie Plexus is doing a very good job with realizing it's his final season, trying to wrap the story as satisfying as possible, and bringing back Kai. That is definitely one of the ways to do that. Between that and then everything going on with Stefan, this finally starting to feel like a final season, which I feel like it has, but now it really is. Like, Lane is coming back in the forefront. A lot of regrets are happening. Stuff is winding down. It very much is starting to feel like a final season. I'm very happy to see that. And I'm definitely going to give this episode of Vampire Diaries, Season 8, Episode 12, What Are You? A 4 out of 5 or a B+. But over, guys, remember this episode of Vampire Diaries. Let me know what you guys thought of this episode overall. Loved your thoughts on it. I really am loving where the show is going. And I'm going to see you guys in my next video, which will be for last night's episode of Vampire Diaries. And I will officially be caught up, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.